We're back. The winter hibernation's over. Formula One's off and running in Australia. It's the 10th Melbourne Grand Prix. The weather's been horrible before race day, but that can't dampen the racing enthusiasm around this sports crazy city. Hello there, welcome to the paddock at Albert Park. This is the starting point for an incredible journey. 19 races in 17 different countries. New rules apply. Ted Kravitz has all the details.
The cars are going to look a bit different as the FIA want to increase safety by cutting the downforce. They've raised the front wing. They've also changed the tyre regulations. The tyres now have to last for qualifying and the race. That's an awful lot longer than previously. If we just move to the engine underneath these beautiful slats here, the engine now has to last for 2 race weekends, and there are penalties even if you change them between 2 Grand Prix. Finally, at the end, they've moved the rear wing forward by 150 millimeters. That's also to cut downforce and increase safety. As well as all that, the qualifying format has been changed for 2005. There are now 2 single lap sessions, one on Saturday afternoon and one on Sunday morning. Aggregate times then determine the final grid positions.
In qualifying 1, Giancarlo Fisichella hits the sweet spot when the track is at its quickest. The Renault on slicks at the right time. Felipe Massa's the 4 guy, next out and caught in the downpour. Now, even if your name's Michael Schumacher, it's impossible to do your job on intermediates on a skid pan. The champion's 8 seconds slower than the Minardis and down in 18th spot. Takuma Sato's BAR aquaplanes and hits the wall on his out lap 2. In qualifying 2 on race day morning, Barrichello goes flat out to catch Montoya. But the Colombian's too strong and actually widens the gap. Those McLarens look feisty, Raikkonen very quick, despite a hairy moment at the notorious turn 12. David Coulthard picks up a place in his Red Bull. But Fisichella confirms only the 2nd pole in 142 races. The margin absolutely massive, nearly 3 seconds. So here's Tony Jardine with a jumbled up grid to kick off the new season.
Fisichella's 2nd ever pole, great for Renault and Toyota first front row with Trulli. First time 2 Italians up there since '84. Aussie hero Webber in 3rd, maintaining that from yesterday for Williams. And 4th, Jacques Villeneuve, fantastic on his debut for Sauber. Coulthard celebrates his Red Bull debut, stealing that 5th from teammate Klein, 6th. Heidfeld 7th for Williams. Button maintained his 8th place in BAR from yesterday, whilst Montoya jumped 2 places in the dry 2nd session, pipping teammate Raikkonen, who made a great save when McLaren ran wide. 11th, Barrichello, face-saving effort. 12th, brave, great rookie performance from Karthik Kayan, Indian first-timer. Alonso 13th. 14th, Montero, making his debut in Jordan. 15th, Ralf Schumacher's Toyota. 16th, Patrick Friesacher, Minardi debutant. 17th, teammate Dutch rookie Christian Albers. 18th, Felipe Massa, rain ruined his run. 19th, 2nd lowest ever grid for Michael Schumacher after engine change and rain. Sato, a crash and an engine change, 20th.
At the start, Kimi Raikkonen has a big problem with the McLaren. The Finn has to start from the pit lane. So enjoy the best of the Australian Grand Prix with Martin Brundle and James Allen.
Everybody is formed up. These cars will go from 0 to 125 miles an hour in 5 seconds. They are awesome machines. And the 2005 Formula One World Championship is go! Great start by Fisichella from pole. Webber goes to the middle. Trulli looks defensive. David Coulthard's done well. He's up in the 4th. He's having a look at Webber. He's up in the 3rd. Cracking start by David Coulthard.
Coulthard had to take the place because he was so deep into the corner. He had to make the overtake, but it worked a treat. As you say, up in the 3rd for him. Fisichella leads then comfortably from Trulli. David Coulthard, what a dream debut for Red Bull Racing. And then it's Webber, and it seems like Heidfeld's had a stunning start as well.
You can see Rubens Barrichello in the middle of the pack as they all stream through, but Jordan's well in there as well. Fisichella putting a bit of a gap between himself and Jarno Trulli. Webber then down into 4th place. Heidfeld had a good start, hasn't he? And this is the pack. This is where all the action is. Jenson Button's in the middle of that. So's Fernando Alonso. Well, Button started in front of Alonso, so Alonso's had a really good start. Fisichella leading.
Well, Button is down 3, Alonso is up 3, and that's what's going on there. So a poor first few sectors for Jenson Button. This is Michael Schumacher, who's up to P16.
Fisichella leads, Trulli 2nd, Coulthard 3rd, Webber 4th, 5th is Heidfeld, 6th Klian, 7th Montoya, 8th Barrichello. Down to 9th place is Jacques Villeneuve, 10th is Alonso, 11th Button, 12th Ralf Schumacher, and Michael Schumacher making a move on one of the Jordans.
Yeah, he's just driving clean around the outside, so much more power has he got. And the McLaren behind him then, is that Kimi? Kimi's come steaming through the field on this lap. Amazing.
He certainly has, considering he started from the pit lane. Michael Schumacher started from the back of the grid. Look at the pace that Raikkonen's got. It'd be interesting to see if we can get Michael Schumacher down into turn 1, because he certainly seems to be carrying an awful lot of speed. The leaders, though, are already on to the 2nd lap. Fisichella 1.4 ahead of Trulli. Coulthard 3rd, Webber 4th. There is Michael Schumacher, and well, no sign of a move there from Kimi Raikkonen. Schumacher into 15th place now.
Just see a replay of the start. Perfect then for Fisichella down the outside. Truly struggling a bit. Coulthard got off the line beautifully and locked the front wheel and really just had to carry on the move past Mark Webber, who saw him coming. It was nice and clean when it happened, but good stuff there. Michael Schumacher already feeding his way through. We're on board with Villeneuve, and there is the fast-starting Coulthard, and he then has to take almost avoiding action look to take, that's just instinctive stuff. Good stuff there from Coulthard up into 3rd, and Villeneuve just losing out then to, that's how Heidfeld made the big advantage. This is a camera angle from the curb through that first corner.
Lap 7 then, Fisichella, almost 2 seconds now clear of Trulli. Coulthard being dropped, 6.4 behind the race leader. Webber, 7 seconds. 5th place is Heidfeld, nearly 8 seconds behind the leader. And then it's Klian, Montoya in 7th, Barrichello in the final points position in 8th at the moment. 10 seconds behind race leader Fisichella.
A better lap for Coulthard that time. He actually took 3 or 4 tenths out of the pursuing Williams and his teammates, so maybe he's found a better way in the braking zones. And this clearly then Alonso still tucked up behind Villeneuve, now 16 seconds adrift. How frustrating is that? Jacques, you'd have to say, I don't think he's really got on top of this 2005 package of Formula One regulations yet. Having said that, he's ahead of his teammate. Massa started at the back, of course.
Yes, it's extraordinary how much the weather intervening yesterday, the wet, dry session we had in qualifying, totally threw everything upside down. Really, the only person who got a proper dry lap was Fisichella, and he took advantage beautifully. But poor old Felipe Massa, who's been going quite well in the Sauber, certainly better than Jacques Villeneuve. He was out on dry tyres just as it started to tip with rain. You can see Alonso now right up behind Villeneuve having a go, and down he does it on braking. Nice move by Fernando Alonso.
What a beautiful piece of overtaking, absolutely superb, but Villeneuve came back up the inside of him and retook the position. That was supremely skillful and brave there from Alonso, but he just went in a touch too deep at the final hurdle, and the wise ahead of Villeneuve still has his car in front. Alonso will be so frustrated.
Very good exit that Sauber got off the final corner, didn't he? He got much better drive down the main straight than Alonso. That's very interesting, but Alonso clearly under braking has a better car.
Well, if Alonso's nicely in the slipstream here, surely he'll have a great go down into turn 3, but he's not quite near enough, and Villeneuve parking his car nicely in the middle of the racetrack, which he's perfectly entitled to do. But they're now 19 seconds behind the leader. But look, Michael Schumacher, Kimi Raikkonen, 24 and 25 seconds away from the leader. That's nearly a pit stop, James, and under these new regulations, I don't think you're going to be seeing so many phases of a Grand Prix. Clearly, they're not going to come in, put a new set of boots on, and find a much better balance. I think it's going to be much more set in for the afternoon.
But a quick update from VAR. Jensen's engineers are willing him to stay with this fight with Fernando Alonso. If Jensen could just stay in touch with Alonso, but that gap is growing at the moment, he can follow him through this traffic, try to get up there, but all calm down here at VAR.
It looked like a bit of the bodywork of that Renault flew off there of Fernando Alonso. Renault on the curb. I don't know if that's going to make much of a difference to his aerodynamic effect. Can't quite see what piece it was that flew off, but it's certainly going to slow him down a bit. Can't throw away too many pieces. Jarno Trulli now dips into the 1:27s. Fastest man on the racetrack, trying to keep Fisichella in touch.
Yeah, the Renault engineers say that it's the piece of the lower left front barge board. Just to explain, that's a little piece of carbon fibre that tidies up the airflow round the side of the side pods and underneath the car. But they're not at all worried about it. They haven't said anything to Fernando on the radio. I think he knows that by going off he's going to do things like that, but they haven't given many caution messages.
I would imagine he's still trying to get his tonsils back in the right place, because he's sitting on the floor of that car, and that'll send quite a shockwave through your body when you fly off the end of that curb. But he's just got to calm that one down. Raikkonen's 4/10 behind Michael Schumacher. They're 15th and 16th. I feel I want to get out of the commentary box, go down there, put the red light on, and stop them and say, well, what are you doing? What's wrong? They're 38 seconds behind. And they're not really that close to anybody else. It's just bizarre. Even if they're non-stopping this afternoon, they're still too far behind. Bizarre.
Nice graphic here. You can see the G-forces on the driver, on his body. Red is for the brakes forwards. Watch the big stop at the end of this. 180 miles an hour. Oh, cut away from it. Anyway, it's 180 miles an hour down to 80. And you can see Webber now is getting a lot closer to David Coulthard. There's Heidfeld watching them. And Klein as well is staying with that group in the second Red Bull Racing car.
Yeah, they've passed the Minardis on this lap, so it looks like Webber's made a little bit of ground during passing those two cars. But, DC appeared at this stage to have a pretty equal measure to the speed of the Williams. Great performance from Red Bull Racing. Where are they now? They're 3rd and 6th, and you have to say, Williams, they came here, everybody was saying, well, they're just going to have an awful weekend, didn't they? And they're not looking too bad either.
No, well, it's difficult to judge the lap times at the moment, because a lot of the fast guys are stuck in the middle of the field, but certainly Fisichella's lapping in the low 27s. You can see there Coulthard just getting a bit leery, getting right up behind the back and knocking a little bit of bodywork off, a little bit of front wing possibly. He got very, very close, and Webber almost got him. Look at that, Webber on the grass trying to get past him. What a moment that was. I'd very much like to see that again.
I wonder what piece flew off. Was it a bit of Minardi or a bit of DC and his front wing end fence? And Friesaka apparently has come into the pits at the first pit stop of the afternoon on lap 17, and Coulthard so nearly out of the race and had to get super defensive and squeeze Mark Webber onto the grass. No wonder they were a bit closer when we picked them up earlier on.
Absolutely, that was quite some moment there for David Coulthard. Enormous disparity in speed. Coulthard lapping about 7 or 8 seconds a lap faster than the Minardi, and it suddenly caught him. He's just like happens at Le Mans.
But DC, to get away from Mark, has gone for a fastest of anybody in the first sector, 29 seconds flat. So quite clearly, it's not damaged his car. I hope it hasn't cracked a front wing post or something like that. He must have just been the merest glance as he nearly slammed into the back of the Minardi, didn't he?
Yep, Webber responded though. He set the fastest middle sector of the race so far in the Williams, so he is not going to let David Coulthard get away from him. Meanwhile, Toyota ready for one of their drivers. Is it Jarno Trulli? There is Trulli, second place man, goes through. It could be Ralf Schumacher then. He is currently running in 12th place, just behind Jenson Button. Well,
if the Toyotas are about to stop, it's bad news for them, because I think fundamentally people are too stopping this afternoon. Coulthard just blats one in the 1:26s. That's just a couple of seconds off the lap record with much harder tyres. So he's got some grip and some balance this afternoon. Better watch out for him.
Certainly is. 1:24.1 is the lap record here, set last year by Michael Schumacher in the Ferrari. There you can see Alonso in front of Jacques Villeneuve. We haven't seen how he did that. We saw them having a good old scrap. Well, here it is.
It's down at that same turn, isn't it? He's quicker out of turns 11 and 12 than Jacques, and better on the brakes. And this time, he squeezes it hard to the apex, and Jacques could not come back at him.
the Red Bull garage. The mechanics down here just leapt to their feet when they saw the same pictures that we saw of that bodywork flying up. Walked out into the pit lane just to be on standby in case Coulthard was going to come in. But there's been no news from him over the radio. And as one of the mechanics just said to me, if that was a bit of the car coming off, it's made him go quicker, so it doesn't seem to be causing any problems.
Now watch this pit stop. First time in 2005. You can't change tyres. They can, though, change tyre pressures, are they? Not at the moment. They're just examining the tyres, inspecting them. Some teams have got very sophisticated devices for changing the tyre pressures because it's the only thing you can play with in a pit stop. Obviously, they're going to start playing with them. Looks like the Williams team have got one of their drivers in as well. It's Nick Heidfeld. There he is.
Yeah, that's a lot of bodies to line up and do nothing with, isn't it? In terms of it's just like a human garage, basically. And well, I'm surprised they're in the pits that early. That's going to put a smile on a few teams' faces to see that. And in the pits, Ralf Schumacher in the second Toyota.
All of these cars then on two-stop strategies, 8.5 seconds. That's how long the fuel nozzle was on the car for, and that means that it dropped something in the region of about 60 kilos of fuel into the car, which is about 20 laps worth.
Coulthard does the fastest lap of the race, takes 9/10 out of Fisichella's lead. The lead just 8.3 seconds now. So Coulthard, you'd suspect, is coming in anytime soon, wouldn't you? In that he's really stepping on the gas. He wants to keep that advantage over Mark Webber. Webber loses out to Alonso. And, well, you've just got to assume the two McLarens and the two Ferraris are going an awful long way before they pit stop.
One of the reasons that Webber lost out to Alonso in that stop is because Alonso just set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix so far. He pushed very hard to make sure that he was in front of Webber when he came out from that stop. That's very fast driving, good driving from Fernando Alonso. Takuma Sato, that's great news for Michael Schumacher.
First gear on the way out.
Jock Clear there talking to Sato, first gear on the way out, he said.
The leader pits then on lap 22. And away he goes, no problems at all. Coulthard's got his hands full. He's got Webber charging down on him as they've rejoined on the same tyres. They'll have to bring them back up to temperature. And crucially then, Barrichello goes through to lead the Grand Prix.
And Montoya has pitted for McLaren. His first McLaren pit stop, Juan Montoya. He's shown as being down in 6th place now. There you can see it. That's the top 8, but it's changing all the time at the moment on lap 24 because we are into the main pit stop zone here. Mixture of 2-stop and 3-stop. We didn't get a stopwatch time on Montoya's stop, so we didn't know how much fuel he put into that car, which is a shame because we'd very much like to know what he's doing in this race.
Coulthard just pulling out a bit of a gap on Webber now. Webber's got his mirrors absolutely full of Scarlet Ferrari, and Kimi Raikkonen still waiting to pounce, having stalled the car on that opening grid and forcing another formation lap. It's really compromised his afternoon. Teammate Montoya is up in 6th place at the moment, some 20 seconds behind Barrichello, who currently leads the race. He hasn't stopped. Fisichella second, he has stopped. Alonso is absolutely flying, and he is the man to watch through the next phase of this Grand Prix.
So here he comes then. Let's see if he's going to change the tyre pressures at this stop.
Yes, they've got the ability to pump up or lower those pressures if there's a handling imbalance. They're taking the tyre temperatures. That'll be for data they can use later on. That won't affect the performance of the car today. Nothing needed though, and away he goes, just with fresh fuel, and they clean out the side pods of debris.
7.8 seconds stationary time. Fernando Alonso has also pitted at the same time. Here he comes out on track. Look at Jarno Trulli in the Toyota. Can he get in front of Trulli? That would be important and significant if he could. Didn't look as though he was going to, though. I think Trulli may well have got out in front of him. And here is Raikkonen into the pits. Not having a great afternoon.
Yes, look at the right rear Raikkonen looking a little bit untidy through this Grand Prix.
Into the pits comes Michael Schumacher. He was 11th. Ted Kravitz.
Ferrari boys go to work. Let's have a look if they do anything. No, there's nothing on the front wheels that they're doing. A guy is just checking the temperature of the tyre surface. He's away, but that's a quicker stop, isn't it? Is that still a one-stop, guys?
It's a very short fill, isn't it?
Alonso there diving past Jarno Trulli. Just caught a glimpse of it, and that's important. That's a very important move. That moves Alonso up into 6th place That's something he's wanted to do for some time. Here's how he did it.
Yep, lined him up nicely and double shuffled him to get the inside line, where we know from when he passed Villeneuve twice, he's much faster. A lot of confidence there on the brakes. I don't know what's going on, but Coulthard and Webber just both had a very slow lap and lost out quite a lot. And maybe that's what it's all about, is passing back markers. So Coulthard and Webber way back in the 1:28.
Keller is being caught by David Coulthard, although he's just responded actually on that last lap and just managed to take the cushion out a little bit to Coulthard in second place. Webber, Mark Webber, here we are riding on board with him, looking at Coulthard in front of us. As you can see the margin for yourself, it's 0.8 of a second.
Can't work out what's going on there. Coulthard and Webber have slowed down a lot, presumably Webber in the dirty air of that Red Bull Racing car. But just suddenly Coulthard's pace has fallen away. They did pass a Jordan. I don't know if it's all about traffic or whether Coulthard has got some kind of problem developing. Louise may be able to tell us. She's with team principal Christian Horner.
I am. I'm down in the Red Bull garage. Christian, we're just talking about the fact that David seems to be slowing down over the last couple of laps. Is there any kind of problem?
No, I mean, David's doing a great job. You know, we've got quite a lot of fuel on board. The tyres look in good shape. He's reported no problems so far. You know, he made a great start, and you know, we're going to try and hang in there.
At the risk of laying some kind of curse on you, so far this race, particularly for Coulthard, is going like a dream, isn't it?
Yeah, David's doing a great job for us. You know, he's been on it all weekend. We had a small problem in qualifying yesterday. He rectified that this morning and went third quickest, and he looks pretty comfortable out there.
You have been catching Fisichella. Can you catch him and overtake him? Is this a race you could win?
We're pretty happy with where we are at the moment, but we'll certainly give it a go.
Can you give us any indication of how much fuel you was put into the car when David came in relation to your competitors?
Enough.
Thank you.
You beauty, DC. As you may know, I negotiated his Formula One contract, and we had a lot of soul searching at the end of last year as to whether he should go with a fledgling team, or was it the right decision. We had enough key people ringing us up and telling us we were crazy and DC should just call it a day, because he'd had his chances, and at 33 years old he really should just retire or take a test drive or something. And DC said, I'm going racing, I'm not listening to those guys. And here he is with a very solid second place in the Grand Prix, and now beginning to catch Fisichella one more time. I think the slow lap times were traffic that we didn't necessarily see.
I'll tell you another thing about David Coulthard that we're learning here this afternoon. He's matched with Christian Klein. There is his girlfriend, Coulthard's girlfriend, Simone, Brazilian, and she's been with him for some time. But tell you what we're learning about him is that he's 18 seconds up the road from teammate Christian Klein. Coulthard's second, Klein is 8th, and Coulthard lapping 2.5 a lap faster. And that just shows the value of experience. Someone at the driver of his caliber in this car, really pushing this team along, and well, it's giving him a new lease of life, isn't it, really?
It's great, he's very relaxed, driving nicely. Crucially, he's quicker through this last corner than Webber. Webber hasn't got the balance, and nor has Heidfeld in the sister Williams. And you've got to be close in the last corner to have a look down into turn 1, or be anywhere near close enough for turn 3. So I don't think Webber's fast enough in the right places unless DC makes a mistake. Kimi Raikkonen has the right-hand barge board and some aerodynamic pieces. You can see it. If you look at your left hand, his right hand, that dramatically affects performance. I have to say, I think, in fact, he's got a piece of somebody else's bodywork in there, I think, and that'll be affecting also the cooling on the right-hand side pod. They may have to bring him in and take that off if it doesn't come off by itself. But the cars are beautiful this year, absolutely stunning in their detail. The way that the aerodynamicists and engineers have created the airflow over the car, and Raikkonen is very slow at this stage, and that's just destroying all the airflow under the car too. Is that Michael with his hand up in the air? Michael Schumacher with his hand up in the air, or was he taking a rip-off off the visor or whatever? But I think that'll be seriously affecting the engine temperatures too on Raikkonen's car. They'll be watching that closely on the data acquisition.
We have got a car off at turn 13, which is car number 18 of Montero. I wonder whether Schumacher was acknowledging the yellow flag with his hand. It's possible, but either way, look at those tyres. They don't look too bad, do they? The left front, as I said before, is the one that will show the most wear. Jarno Trulli, first man then to make the second stop of the afternoon. And there is the reason why Montero is off track.
Go easy on your brakes. We are okay, but we need to look after them. We think JV is stopping before you, so you should be okay still.
Okay, that's Sato being told, look, your brake wear's high enough, just steady up a little bit. And Button is stopping, but your teammate is stopping for you, so you'll be able to leapfrog him if you're running a bit longer. That's the message that Sato was getting there from his engineer.
Yeah, look after the brakes is the message. Then second stop of the afternoon for Mark Webber. Was running in third place. Raikkonen also pits, and they'll be getting rid of that piece of bodywork. Let's have a look. Camera's on the wrong side. There we go. Look at him. Well, they had to hoik it out. I wonder if it was a piece of his own bodywork. The radiator now unobscured. And a lengthy but decent stop by the McLaren team. Raikkonen back out in the race, but Michael Schumacher will have got past him. Bear in mind, though, Schumacher has to stop again as well. That's Ralf Schumacher, who was in 15th place, that Raikkonen is rejoining in front of. Into the pits comes Jacques Villeneuve, and that's great news for the two BARs of Jenson Button and Takuma Sato, who were stuck up behind him.
Yeah, it's more like a stop at a gas station on the side of the road, isn't it? Top it up with fuel and just clean out, you clean your windscreen, they're just cleaning out the side pods. The Red Bull team ready then. Klein stopped first last time around, so you would expect it will be him again. Coulthard's still in second place. It's Barrichello up behind him now because Mark Webber has pitted for Williams. I didn't see that, I don't know if you did, James, but Webber has pitted. So Fisichella leads from Coulthard, Barrichello, Montoya.
Yes, indeed. Well, we did see it briefly, and there is Button now. No Villeneuve to contend with, but he's having a nibble at Jarno Trulli, who looks slow at this stage of the Grand Prix. Villeneuve goes to the outside, into the fast chicane, turn 10, turn 11. Where can he have a go? Possibly down into 13 if he gets himself tight up. Here he goes, down into turn 13. Trulli tries to come across, but Button takes the pass. And, well, Button certainly much faster than Jarno Trulli at this stage of the Grand Prix. The Toyota, which was running comfortably in second place in the opening phase of this Grand Prix, has lost its pace completely. And Jarno Trulli is, well, he's had his second pit stop of the afternoon. Jenson Button has yet to make his, so I'm sure that's got something to do with it.
And Sato pitted. Sato, although we heard on the radio he was pitting after Jenson Button, they have clearly swapped that around and brought him in early.
I wonder whether that message was for Jenson. They were saying JV is pitting before you, because it was Jacques Villeneuve in front of him on the racetrack. So I wonder whether it was a message for Jenson, just saying, look after your brakes, possibly.
It could have been, sorry, I thought it said JB, but anyway, I think you could well be right, James, because that's not making sense now from how I thought I heard the radio call.
All this corporate speak with initials, I wish they'd use proper names. It'd be much clearer for us, wouldn't it? Fisichella leading then, 16 to go here at Albert Park. He's got to make another stop. So has David Coulthard, Barrichello, Montoya and Alonso. Top 5 all have to stop again. Mark Webber in 6th has made his second stop, and Michael Schumacher is in 7th. We believe he has to, well, we know he has to stop again as well. Christian Klein also making it a good day for Red Bull. He's still on for a point at the moment in 8th place, and he has made his second stop of the afternoon. So can he push a little bit in the final stages of this race?
Coulthard has to push super hard now if he wants this second or third place finished this afternoon. We've got Barrichello, Montoya and a flying Alonso. He's in the 125s. The leader's in the 127s. Alonso clearly and easily the fastest man on the racetrack. And what's going on here? That is Webber then, having made his pit stop, fending off Michael Schumacher, who's yet to make his second stop and maintains track position. Ted has some news for us.
Jenson Button very slow away from his pit stop, very slow, and I tell you what, the rear tyres were almost bald, and I'm pretty sure that the guys have taken a bit of pressure, Martin, out of those rear tyres. Oversteer been a bit of a problem for Jenson, but let's see if he can stay ahead of Villeneuve now.
And this, I think, is where it's going to really be tricky for the drivers. The tyres lose temperature coming into the pits quite quickly, and because the rubber depth has gone down, they don't heat up anything like as fast. It's the rubber moving about that generates a lot of the heat, the 100 degrees centigrade needed to make these tyres function properly. Coulthard pits.
Now hang on again, something significant's happened here. The race leader has pitted, Giancarlo Fisichella, while Ted was telling us about Jenson Button. Fisichella pitted and rejoined behind Rubens Barrichello. He now leads this Grand Prix. Fernando Alonso in the second Renault, yet to make his stop, is behind Fisichella, right behind him on the racetrack as Michael Schumacher dives into the pits. Also in the pits is David Coulthard. And once again, we're not seeing that stop. And Juan Montoya from 4th and 5th then. Coulthard and Montoya come in. And this is crucial for Coulthard now because Alonso and Barrichello were closing up on him before this round of stops.
Schumacher clears in front of Nick Heidfeld, and he's also then in front of Kimi Raikkonen too. So it's working out quite nicely for Michael. Oh, what we need, that's going to end up in contact. It had to happen because Heidfeld was never going to slow the car down. Michael Schumacher is out of the Grand Prix, and so is Nick Heidfeld. So Heidfeld just ended up running out of space. The two Germans, that one worked back at the Nürburgring, mate, but you could consider yourself in a dangerous position. But he's got his thinking cap on already, hasn't he? But switch it off like everybody else.
Get a push, get them to push you.
Get them to push you is the information that's coming through to Michael Schumacher. That was a very scruffy accident indeed, as race leader Rubens Barrichello comes into the pits. That means Alonso, who was in front of Fisichella after Fisichella's pit stop, is now the race leader. Alonso, though, still has to make a stop, and Fisichella is well placed then to pick up from that. Here's a look at how it happened.
Yeah, Michael just covered the bases on the inside. He tried to squeeze Nick Heidfeld, which put Heidfeld on the grass, and therefore no braking capacity. And I wonder if they'll have to put the safety car out here because they've got... oh, Michael's got away, look. He has got himself out of the gravel trap. That's amazing. I just don't think he should be allowed to beckon marshals across the firing line. That's the famous turn 3. It just should not be allowed. And that's Michael's fault. He tried to squeeze Heidfeld and forced him into an inevitable incident. Some bits and pieces flapping around to the right rear of Michael's car. I wonder if he's got suspension damage, so he's driving straight in the garage. And another reason why it's not reasonable to drag those marshals across the firing line.
Meanwhile, on the racetrack, Rubens Barrichello has jumped David Coulthard and Mark Webber. Coulthard's second team came into the pits just now. He has got his designs on 3rd place. It's going to be very close between him and Coulthard coming out of this pit stop, and to the end of the Grand Prix, it's going to be between the two of them. Here comes Alonso.
This is the really close one. Look, Barrichello's got Alonso too. So Coulthard will be back in 4th place then, and Webber 5th. That'll disappoint him when he sees that on his pit board, and he'll be wondering how that happened. But quite clearly, Ferrari had a super quick pit stop, and their lap times have been stellar too for Barrichello, and particularly, of course, Alonso.
We're looking at Fisichella, race leader by just over 11 seconds, and Alonso, I think, is going to want to do something about Barrichello, try and make it a Renault 1-2. Fisichella unhappy, I think, with the car in front of him not getting out of his way. He doesn't want to get too close to him and get too much heat. Is it a Sauber in front of him? I think it might be. I think it's Jacques Villeneuve in front. There he is, out of the way goes Villeneuve. That wasn't quite a thank you.
I don't do that, Fizzy. It's not going to get you anything more on the racetrack. It just takes your focus away. He's beginning to get a touch flustered because he's got Barrichello and Alonso really taking about a second a lap out of him. With 11.7 second leads, he knows he's got to get on with it, but he'll not gain 1 metre by waving his arms around. And there then is the scrap, 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th, all in the pit straight. Barrichello, Alonso, Coulthard and Webber.
You've got to say it's a sweet moment for David Coulthard. He's driving beautifully, he's 4th in the Grand Prix, and he's lapping 1.2 seconds a lap faster than the McLaren he had to give up to Juan Montoya when he was dropped at the end of last season. That is sweet for Coulthard for sure. Of course, it's a long season, 19 Grand Prix this year, stretching out in front of us, including a new race at Turkey in August, which we're all very much looking forward to. It's going to be a marathon haul of a championship, and it's not won on the first day, but certainly that's part of the reason Montoya's not going very quickly. Struggling. Look at the right front tyre of that McLaren, the marks on it. Certainly takes some take some stick today.
And Villeneuve has finally been given a blue flag to let him know Coulthard's coming up behind. Webber just a second adrift now, and just a bit further down the field, 7th place man Klian is now just 0.9 ahead of Kimi Raikkonen and losing about a second 2 per lap. So you've got to expect Raikkonen to be making a big charge in this final tour coming up. But, a bit of action then down the field. I don't think Alonso's given up on Barrichello yet either.
No, he took 0.4 of a second out of him on that last lap, but he needs something a bit more special. He's 1.2 behind Rubens Barrichello as they go into the final lap. I don't think Alonso's going to be able to do it unless Barrichello makes a terrible mistake or gets very badly held up. It looks like the podium will be Fisichella, Barrichello, Alonso, and how happy is David Coulthard going to be if he can just keep Mark Webber behind him. 4th and 5th, Webber now less than a second behind the Red Bull Racing car.
Yeah, and they've dropped Montoya, so I suspect Montoya's running out of brakes. I doubt it's tyres. He's on the same, although he's on the softer Michelins, but it's same Michelins as Webber. Coulthard chose the harder ones. I think Renault chose the softer ones, but hey, as you said, James, they look brand spanking new anyway.
Jenson Button, a little bit of a recovery from him. He's up into 11th place. Ralf Schumacher behind him in 12th. And there you can see the Michelin men and the Renault men up on the wall on this pit straight just below us here, waiting to welcome Giancarlo Fisichella home for his 2nd career victory, and Fernando Alonso home in 3rd place. A tremendous start to the championship for this team, and what a metronomic drive, absolutely perfect from Giancarlo Fisichella. It was an open goal for him after the first qualifying session. He crosses the line now. Giancarlo Fisichella wins the Australian Grand Prix for Renault, his 2nd victory in his 142nd race. Fantastic.
Bravo. Well done, mate, well done. Absolutely perfect race. Well done, brilliant.
He's going to be taking our job soon. Spot on, isn't it?
He's got a lot to say.
Okay, mate, just remember we need to keep an eye on the engine. That was really good. I'm really happy. Thank you to all of you.
We'll slot an H into that happy one of these days, but it's lovely to hear him, isn't it? Coulthard did finish 4th, so Fisichella from Barrichello, Alonso, 2 Renaults in the top 3 then on the podium. Coulthard 4th, 2 Red Bull Racings in the points. Webber 5th, solid drive from him. Montoya hung on for 6th, and Raikkonen did not pass Klian for that 7th place. So 2 McLarens in the points, but not where we thought they'd be in 6th and 8th.
He's had a miserable time here in the past. That's the first time on the Melbourne podium for the likeable Fisichella. Alonso contributing to a great day for Renault. We'll be back with Tony Jardine's views and much more from Melbourne. We have had a real turn-up in the first Grand Prix of F1 2005. Giancarlo Fisichella, a 20-to-1 shot earlier in the week, has won the race on a wonderful day for Renault. Fisichella first, Barrichello, very steady drive in the Ferrari second, then Alonso, Martin Brundle's driver of the day, 2 Renault drivers in the first 3. Coulthard, a great debut for Red Bull Racing, 4th. Webber equaling his best ever Grand Prix result, 5th in the Williams. Montoya, 6th for McLaren, a poor start for them. Klian, 2nd Red Bull man to score points, and Raikkonen making his point for McLaren. But first of all, let's hear from a very happy Fisi.
I came here and I was confident to do well, to get on the podium, and why not to win the race. Yes, Friday I was a little bit lucky, but even this morning I was the 2nd quickest in the qualifying session, and today during the race I did a fantastic job.
I believe we have done everything perfect. Right qualify, right race, we controlled the race. I believe it was very good.
You think your championship's on the cards, Flav?
Oh, no, race by race, we need to relax. But let's see.
We have to be realistic and think that if on Friday, Fisi and me, we have heavy rain and we do like Michael last on the grid, maybe we were talking about no points for Renault team today. So Friday I think was crucial, and maybe more for him. But at the end I think we did our job. We were always in the top 3, top 5 in every session, and in the race I think we deserve these positions.
Renault was really good, and then we have just to work. We still have something coming up, which is the new car, the numbers that we had on the first test seems to be really, really nice. So if we can get more points as this in Malaysia, we're going to go for the third race, maybe thinking of new cars. I don't know. We have to push flat out to have the new car, because we know that we have a little bit of a disadvantage compared to the other people.
It must be immensely pleasing. How do you feel personally inside? I mean, it's a lovely start, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great, because of course a lot of people were giving their opinions that I should go off and do something else, and not that I do it for other people, but for a while there it wasn't certain whether there'd be an opportunity, and Red Bull have given me that opportunity, and in return they get my commitment. And I dreamt there for a minute, you know, I could make it 61 times on the podium, and that will still be a dream. And I want to just do a professional job and enjoy myself. And the weekend I have enjoyed, I'm going to enjoy tonight, and that's what I want to do the whole season.
You know, great start. Christian also, you know, to have both cars in the points. Couldn't have dreamed of a better debut.
Well, you know, it's just it's not good enough, really.
You didn't take the checker flag. Just talk us through that.
We had a problem. The guys came on the radio. I don't know what it was, but you have to speak to the team about that.
Are you serious? Both BARs didn't take the checker flag. I would have thought that was a strategic decision that would enable you to change your engine for the next race.
We're told we had a problem and we stopped.
Well, our reading of the rule is that if you fail to finish, you have the opportunity to change your engine. And obviously we wish to take advantage of that, in that we can put new engines in the car and start Malaysia afresh and hopefully do better.
So it was then a strategic decision really to give you the best possible chance in Malaysia?
It was.
Well, it's never nice if you crash, but definitely I had a better exit off the chicane as he was just coming out of the pits. I think I was quite a good move. I was next to him. I'm quite sure that I would have outbraked him, but he just left me no space, pushed me on the grass, and on the grass the braking obviously isn't that good.
Do you think he didn't see you?
I don't know.
I'm really, really happy, and now I can show my talent with that great car.
Well, Tony, Giancarlo Fisichella's had the weekend, the best weekend of the lot, hasn't he? Bit lucky perhaps in qualifying, but at the start, away he went, never to be caught, but Coulthard began pretty well as well.
Tremendous start from Fisichella and the Renaults as well. Alonso behind him was coming through the field. Barrichello went well. Look at this, off goes Fisi. And Mark Webber's got into an initial third place, but David Coulthard locks up the inside and gets through into that third place. Tremendous start from DC. A steely performance from him throughout the race. There's Fisichella ahead, truly in second place. And then David Coulthard. Now watch, this is from Villeneuve, Sauber on the inside. Creeping alongside him there, David Coulthard, and then he dives down the inside. Very brave, bold manoeuvre. You'd have to say Mark Webber was a little bit pedestrian as well.
Jacques Villeneuve, the former world champion, and Alonso had quite a battle for him, just trying to get past him, wasn't he?
Yeah, I thought it was a great battle, really. They were teammates at the end of last year when Villeneuve was drafted into the Renault squad to try and fend off the BARs. And at that point, you see, Fernando had suffered a long time behind him and dived down the inside, and only to get taken back by Villeneuve. And you saw there Alonso going over the curb as well, down the inside, really making it stick there, and through he goes. But that was a lovely piece of overtaking between the two.
Heck of a drive from Alonso, wasn't it?
Tremendous drive, you know, from all the way back up to third. He finished third here last year as well.
Michael Schumacher won here last year. He's won 4 of the last 5, but not this time. And a tangle with Heidfeld, and he's had a bit of criticism for this, Michael.
Yeah, it appeared to me that he certainly squeezed Heidfeld on the way into turn 3 there. And there's Michael, look, digging in and not being able to get away. And he called for the marshals and eventually got away with it. Look at it again, moves across. He wasn't on line, he was squeezing him onto the inside, and there's the consequences of that. German to German, poor Nick Heidfeld going off the circuit. Definitely Schumacher's fault there.
It has been Giancarlo Fisichella's weekend, hasn't it? He's had a lot of bad ones. He's been dubbed the nearly man, hasn't he? But a terrific, terrific day for him and for everybody at Renault.
6 second places. I mean, in the early days of Renault 01 and 02, he scored 6 points and 7 points. And then Flavio Briatore, when he managed him, he had to go off to Jordan, whilst Trulli rejoined Renault. And here he is now. He's come back to the ranks of the field. Alan Permain there on the left, the engineer he's worked so hard with. I'm sure he blew a little kiss to his partner Luna there as well, who was in Rome watching the race.
Yeah, Alan has worked a lot with Giancarlo, hasn't he? A new style of Grand Prix, I'm sure you'll agree. You've seen loads and loads of them. What have you made of this style?
Few over the years, but this is, the sprinting has gone between the pit stops. Now we've got, you know, a much longer race. There's a greater input from the driver required and from the engineers. There's a more delicate touch required by the drivers to get the tyres to last, and obviously looking after the engine. But we've still got great racing, so at the moment it's looking good.
And a real touch of unpredictability as well, Tony.
Yeah, the aggregate of the two, and you've got the different weathers going on, which it can be in the situation, also means the drivers have to go out for both those qualifying sessions. And aggregate of the two, we've seen quite a differential.
We're very encouraged by what we've seen today. Haven't we? Just finally, give us a mark. I know you've marked a few exam papers in your time. What would you give this Grand Prix?
I'd have said 7 out of 10 for me. It just held everyone's interest. It had so many incidents in it, overtaking, and a very, very different result, which we all wanted.
Absolutely right. Tony, thank you very much indeed. This is how the Constructors' Championship look. 1 down, 18 to go. Renault 16 points, Ferrari 8, Red Bull Racing. Good to see them in 3rd place on their debut on 7, and Williams and McLaren both have 4. A new feature of our highlight show. Every week we're going to have a team report. And first in to bat, it's James Allen.
Well, a very positive start to the 2005 World Championship. Hard to draw too many conclusions from this weekend because obviously qualifying in the rain messed things up so badly. But nevertheless, big thumbs up for the whole Renault team. Giancarlo Fisichella and Fernando Alonso did absolutely wonderfully here. That car is very quick and they will be championship contenders. Big thumbs up as well to Rubens Barrichello, fighting his way through from 10th on the grid to finish 2nd. Underline that Ferrari still are in the hunt, and when they get their new car, could be really something. Thumbs down, well, you have to say BAR and McLaren didn't show the pace at all this weekend that we had expected. And I don't know what Jacques Villeneuve was thinking. I've asked Peter Sauber this evening what was the problem with Jacques Villeneuve. He said, you'll have to ask him. He went from 4th to 14th in the same car that teammate Felipe Massa went from the back of the grid up to 10th. Few question marks about Jacques after this race.
Thanks, James. Next stop at Malaysia in a couple of weeks, the first qualifying session, 12:40 Saturday lunchtime. The race live. Be sure to join us for that. 6:40 on the Sunday morning. The rerun 1:45 Sunday lunchtime, and the highlights around midnight. Renault always said, watch us go in 2005. Fisichella first, Alonso third. Now you know what they mean. Good night.